Stampers, it's Judy Clock coming to you today from Stamping with Crafty Clock. I hope everyone is having a great week, and I hope you're ready to stamp with me tonight. So today I'm going to be working with the Evergreen Elegance. This bundle is in our annual catalog. You can get the stamp set as well as this cute border punch. And I'm going to show you how to use this punch tonight if you've never worked with one like that. And we're going to do, again, 2 cards. We're going to do a simple stamping card. And I wanted to show you that it's not just for Christmas. You can use this for other events. So here we have just a simple stamping card. It's just our stamps, inks, and paper. And I've just made it a happy birthday card. So if you want a simple, clean birthday card, maybe you need something a little bit more masculine, I think this is perfect for that. And then we're going to step it up and we're going to use our punch. We're going to use some Designer Series papers, the Tidings of Christmas Designer Series paper. We're going to add a couple of punches, some embellishments, and we're going to use that punch to decorate the inside of our card. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So for the first card, I have a base of Evening Evergreen. It is 8.5 by 4.5, scored at, it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And on the inside, I'm just going to stamp our happy birthday. And for my sentiments, I am using the Biggest Wish stamp set for this card to get the sentiments. So this is a photopolymer stamp set. So I am going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp. Now, I chose to stamp this in Soft Succulent because I am going to add that color to my card. You can also just use the Evening Evergreen, and I can show you, I stamped these trees in just Evening Evergreen, and I used 2nd generation stamping to get those different colors of green. So let's go ahead. For the inside, though, I am going to use our Soft Succulent, and I'm just going to stamp a happy birthday. All right, now we're ready to put that on the inside of our card. I have one of our old adhesives. I don't know where my Stampin' Seal Plus went to. It's down here somewhere. I was busy working on some things, and it's probably lost in one of the tables in my craft room. I'm also working on making a new Santa suit for my husband. He plays Santa for one of the local elementary schools for their Breakfast with Santa. And he's doing a couple of gigs with like pet rescue organizations to raise money for them. So we're making a new Santa suit. The one that I had made him years ago is showing its age. So we've got some new gorgeous red velvet, and we're going to that will be our project for this weekend to get that knocked out. All right, then I've got a piece of our Soft Succulent. This is our standard 5 1/4 by 4. And then I have a piece of Whisper White, but this is only 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So it's just a teeny tiny bit shorter than our Soft Succulent layer. But I'm going to do a little bit of, probably stamp a little bit off. So I'm going to use a little piece of scrap paper under there. All right, so I'm taking the large Evergreen tree. Now this one I'm going to stamp at full strength. I'm going to stamp it in the left corner. I'm going to kind of put it close to the bottom. Okay, so we've got that. And I'm going to take like the taller, fuller tree. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it once. And then without re-inking, I'm just going to stamp it again between those two. And that's how you get that extra shade in there. Then I'm going to take our little tree. And again, I'm just going to stamp it once and then stamp it again. So if you only have one color ink, 2nd generation stamping can really help you expand your color palette, because as you can see, we've got the darker green and then we've got the lighter green, and it's all just from the Evening Evergreen stamp pad. And I've got ink on my thumb, so let me get that off before we get it any more on there. I always keep a pack of baby wipes handy nearby. Then I'm just going to stamp. I'm going to pull back in my Soft Succulent, and I'm going to stamp that hello. And I am going to pull back in my Stampin' Pierce mat. As you can see, it's been well used. Okay, we're going to just stamp a hello. And now we're ready to assemble the front of our card. So just because Evening Evergreen looks like it's, you know, a holiday set, a Christmas set, you know, you can just use those trees really for anything you want. It doesn't have to be Christmas. So don't limit yourself. When you see a stamp set, don't limit yourself and think, oh, it's only for Christmas. You know, you can use it for anything. Just, you know, have to use sentiments. Pair it with another stamp set you have with other sentiments. You know, you can make a thank you card or a thinking of you card or a get well card. I mean, really anything. Because, I mean, pine trees are always appropriate. So we're going to go ahead and just put that on there. And that is our simple stamping card. It really was nothing more than stamps, ink, and paper. So it really couldn't get any simpler than this. And I actually could have just used the one stamp pad. I could have just used the old, the Evening Evergreen, and that would have been fine. So there is our first card. Don't forget, if you're here, give me a like or a heart or a hello or a happy face, because I always do raffle off these cards, usually the Monday following my live. All right, let's go on and let's work with our second card. Now for this one, we're going to stamp a sentiment. We're going to pull out our Cherry Cobbler. I am using a base of Cherry Cobbler. It is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So I'm going to pull out my Cherry Cobbler and I'm going to stamp an inside sentiment that says, may the beauty of the season bring you joy and warm memories to cherish throughout the year. And I always stamp before I stick it down, because if it's a little off, that is just a teeny tiny bit off, I can flip it over and I can try one more time. So here we go. A little bit better, a little bit more straight. All right, then I have a piece of Evening Evergreen. This again, this is really just kind of a scrap piece. I had cut it off for another project, and I saved these because I never know when I could use them. So now I'm going to use them. I'm going to make that border for in here. So I'm going to bring in my punch. And now you'll notice how this cuts, right? It's got a big tree, little tree, big tree, little tree. And on here, it's got a big tree, little tree, big tree. Because as you push this through and you cut, now I'm going to push it to my left. And I'm going to line up that first tree with, can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. I'm lining up that first tree with that printed image. And I'm going to just push it. Now I'm going to come back here. I'm going to line this up again. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure that I punch it one more time. And that should be a complete, and you got these little scraps left over. All right, let's pull this in. I'm going to use my silicone mat because I want to put some liquid glue on these trees. And I'm probably going to start with this one. I'm not going to start with the very edge because we're going to have to trim these a little bit. Not a lot of glue, just a little dab will do ya. Okay. Hi, Dee. How are you? So here we go. We're just going to go ahead and pull this in. I'm still going to leave my silicone mat there. Okay, I'm going to try to position these. All right. Press it down gently. Now, it doesn't take long. This glue will adhere fairly quickly. Now, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm just going to trim the excess trees off. And there's our bobble on the other side. All right. Did anybody catch the video today of Sarah on the pick line? It was really fascinating to watch how they do the whole pick line and get all of the orders together. Okay. Now we're ready to put this inside. And we've got our inside done. So there we have that. Just kind of decorated it with that little beautiful border punch. Now I took a piece of Tidings of Christmas paper, and this was 4 by 5 1/4, and I just cut it off at the 3-inch mark. So I have a piece that's 3 inches and one that's 2 1/4 inches. So I just flipped it over. I thought it was really pretty on both sides. I didn't know which side I wanted to use, so I just cut it in half, and I'm just going to put that, I don't need that. I'm going to just put this right here. So I'm going to go ahead and I forgot to get a piece of soft succulent. Well, we're going to improvise on this one. So I just like the way the two papers kind of played off each other, and sometimes it's so hard to decide which side to use. So all of these colors, the soft succulent, the evening evergreen, the cherry cobbler, these are all in that Tidings of Christmas designer series paper. I just need to cut off one little piece. I forgot to cut off something. So bear with me for 1 second, folks. I meant to cut a piece of soft succulent that was about 3/4 by 4, and we're just going to put that across where the two paper meets. That just, to me, just kind of makes that look a little bit neater by having that extra piece of cardstock there covering that up. Okay, and we're just going to make sure that it's even on the edges. There we go. We've got that done. Now I'm going to bring in my Label Me Fancy punch. I'm going to punch out a punch. All right, and then we're going to stamp it with It's Friends Like You That Make the Season So Wonderful. And we're going to stamp that again in our cherry cobbler. Again, these are pretty easy cards that I think you will be able to recreate. And like I said, I am featuring this Evening Evergreen bundle in my November class. You'll be making a total of 8 cards, 2 each of 4 different designs. So, sign up. You get like a pack, half a pack of designer series paper, a bolt of ribbon, some gems, a couple of the maybe a little surprise or 2 in there. And then we zoom and we have a fun time. So I'm just going to lay some adhesive on the back of my card, and I'm just going to take my ribbon. I'm just going to start layering it over it. Okay, and don't worry, because we're going to put our dimensionals over us. That will help hold this ribbon in place a little bit more. I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 inches of ribbon. I didn't really measure it. I'm just gonna kind of cut this. This isn't my good scissor. This is a little dull. Okay, and then I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals. Probably put about 3 on there. Love my Stampin' Dimensionals. And then we're just going to layer this over, right over the center of our card. So, it doesn't take a lot. You can really do a lot with just a little bit of embellishment and some paper. And then I have our gilded gems here, and we're going to add a few of these gilded gems just to give it a little bit more color. So what do you think? Is this something that you think you could recreate? I think so. It's, like I said, it's pretty easy. I usually do gems in uneven numbers. I'm just going to do 3 on here. And there we have our stepped up card with our Evergreen Elegance. So again, don't be afraid to use these for something other than the holidays. Here's just a very simple stamping card, a happy birthday card using our Evening Evergreen. And then of course we have a more traditional Christmas card, again, using the stamp set and that beautiful punch that it comes with. All right, folks, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this session of Stamping with Crafty Clock. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Bye.